related to management. So anything under non-fiction we categorize under MBR. So today the topic, the book I have chosen for today's session is all about Design Your Thinking by Dr. Pawan Soni. Design Your Thinking by Dr. Pawan Soni. Design thinking is one of my favorite subjects. So in fact, I am a design thinking evangelist. So I conduct workshops. So I thought of making use of this opportunity to talk something about design thinking. Design thinking has become a buzzword nowadays, but the concept is not quite new. So it has been existing for several decades. So starting in 60s, product manufacturers, when they tried to come out with a new product, they kept their audience or they kept their end users in mind. For example, when I use a slide changer, the company which is designing this slide changer always thinks from the end user's perspective. First of all, it should be handy and it should have curved edges so that it is not hurting the user. And it should have the functional features like when I click the right click, the slide should get advanced. And it should also have the additional features like a laser pointer kind of stuff. So keeping all the end users requirements in mind, they try to design the products. So, but at the time, the concept, the word design thinking was not existing. But later, the same concept was adopted way back in 70s by the landscape artists and the city planners. And finally, then other genre of industries, they started using it. But way back in 90s, there were two organizations which are specifically focusing on that. One was an organization named as IDEO. So IDEO. So it is not an acronym. So IDEO is the organization name. As well, an academic institution called the D School of Stanford University. D School, like B School stands for B Business School. D School stands for Design School. These two institutions, they try to work on all this, the past experiences, and then they try to come out with a framework. Framework means you try to give a solid, vigor and rigor for the concepts and come out with a model. So they come out with a 5-step model. The 5 steps model is known as design thinking. So the 5-step process or model starts with the empathy, then definition, ideation, prototyping, and testing. For example, as I said, when I want to design this product, I have to empathize the end customer. So I have to always think about the pain problems of the end customer. And now, after understanding the customer's pain areas, I have to, probably the customer may have hundreds of pain areas, but now I have to decide what are all the topmost pain areas, and accordingly I have to address them. So this is known as definition phase. This is a brainstorming session where the people who have participated in the empathy interview, they have to come back, sit back and discuss about the pain areas and finally narrow down the pain areas. Then the next step, third step is known as the ideation. Ideation again, now we are from converging, we are now trying to diverge. So the pain areas we collected so much, then we converged and then try to narrow down certain pain areas, only top 2 or 3 pain areas. Now the ideation phase, again we are diverging. That means we are trying to think of all kind of ideas. So during this ideation phase, we use multiple techniques like Scamper. Scamper, I think Jain used to mention even Scamper can be used as a tool for speakers. So Scamper is an acronym. So due to a paucity of time, I'm not explaining them in detail. SCAMPER, you can Google and figure out. Then we have techniques like 6 thinking hats. Then we have techniques like brainstorming session, etc. So using any of the techniques, you come out with ideas. And finally, when you come out with an innovative idea, you are not again going back to the customer with a PPT or Word document. They are useless. You have to come out with a prototype. The prototype can be in the form of a paper-based prototype, or you can use a carton, or like the school children, you can use thermocol and then come out with a. This is primarily to give the end customer a confidence saying that, yes, I have understood your pain area and I know how to address it. Then the customer gets confidence, show it to the customer, take their feedback. So that is known as testing phase. So constantly you have to do that in agile mode. Instead of taking this project as a 6 months project or 1 year project, you do every month or every couple of weeks, you come out with a prototype, take it to the customer, feedback, get the feedback, improvise on it, and finally the customer will be happy. And why this concept has become so popular is today we have a lot of powerful technologies available here. Any concept, if you define a workflow, immediately a mobile app can be devised. Then we every application comes with a lot of data, and we have data analytics tool using which you can come out with a lot of insights. And all the applications can reside in cloud. So all this come under the genre of digital. So using digital technologies, any such pain areas of the customer, quickly we can come out with ideas. The popular use cases are Ola, Uber, or Oyo, or Airbnb, or what is that, Alibaba. So these kind of vendors, they don't have assets in their hand, but they only provide a platform. They bring multiple people into their platform and then make huge money. So if you see the Fortune 500 companies, gone are the days where the oil and gas companies used to be on the top list. Exxon Mobil, Chevron, British Petroleum, Saudi Aramco. The oil and gas companies used to be the top 10 of Fortune 500 companies. But today, if you see, because of the power of technology and because of the huge customer base, now you see companies like Amazon, right, Apple. So these kind of technology companies are leading here. So now that is an overview about design thinking. Now coming back to this particular book, Dr. Pawan Soni is an authority on design thinking. He is an adjunct faculty in Indian Institute of Management. I have attended, personally, I have attended a lot of his sessions. So this is where he is trying to bring his own flavor. So he is not just aping or copying the concept told by the institutions like IDEO or the D school. So he is trying to bring in his own perspective. One is he is trying to give clarity between what is known as Jugaad and innovation. How many of you heard about the term Jugaad? Can, if you know, can you, yeah, can someone tell me what is known as Jugaad? Varun? You can unmute and say.
It is more like being street smart or being more practical, trying to put some non-radical ideas into place.
Yes, absolutely. So today, in fact, because of the powerful social media, we come across different kind of Jugaad moments. So especially, you know, when and most of these Jugaad ideas are emanating from the rural background, right? When they have a problem, for example, if a guy is not having AC, he is trying to put a trouser in front of a fan, and then this trouser, one leg will be diverting the air to one room, and another portion will be sending the airflow to the another room. Such kind of funny things we are seeing here. So definitely Jugaad need to be appreciated. But Dr. Pawan Soni says that though we encourage Jugaad, finally the Jugaad need to be converted into innovative ideas, meaning that they should have a commercial value, right? So you have to scale up, you have to come out with a thought process, or you have to commercialize it, and then we have to come out with a product, and then finally you have to leverage that so that it becomes a commercial idea. For example, all of us know that Instagram, right? Instagram, today it has got multiple features, but 4 or 5 years back, actually it was an app where you can take a picture, upload it in the cloud, or download or share it with any of our friends. That's all. Simple feature. You take a small idea, but the way they have executed was so awesome. What I meant execution is, so for Instagram, they had around 700 million users. Even 10% of the users use the application at any point of time. It should not have any performance issue. It should not have latency, right? So if people say that it is taking more than 1 minute to upload a picture or more than 1 minute to download a picture, immediately people are going to quit that application. So in order to give a seamless experience to the customers, they have put in all kind of best of knowledge, best of talents in their company, right? So such kind of startup companies, when we meant successful startup companies, the key difference is they try to bring in the best of breed resources, and they pay double the salary or triple the salary like what the other companies are paying. So when such kind of people are there, they come out with all possible scenarios and ensure that the user is not all facing any problem. And because of that powerful user base and powerful features, then Facebook acquired this Instagram. And any idea at what value it has acquired at this company? $1 billion. 1 billion is $1,000,000,000, right? For a company which is just dealing with uploading, downloading, or sharing the pictures. But of course, today now they add a little more features. But whereas if you see the traditional IT companies, even after 20 years, many of the companies, they are just touched the $1 billion mark. So it is because of the design thinking attitude and because of the dynamism. So of course, startup companies, they are paying 3 times or 4 times the salary, but definitely all your performance, your sustenance in the organization depends on the performance. If you are not performing well, so you may be fired at any time. So if we have that design thinking culture in our mind, definitely every company can come out with innovation. That is what Pawan Soni argues a lot. And generally, when we talk about innovation, we only, in most of the forums, most of the seminars, immediately people jump in and then talk about Steve Jobs and Apple kind of products. I have never used Apple products and I never quote Steve Jobs because totally it is alien to me. So I don't think that audience will get connected. So of course, I have due respect for Steve Jobs and his products. But when you want to inspire or motivate people, you have to give a lot of local examples. So that is where Pawan Soni comes out with a lot of local examples. In fact, that is where my thought process and his thought process aligns well. So even I used to conduct sessions on Desi design thinking, right? So you have, in India, we have a lot of innovators and who have also scaled. I'm not talking about the Johad examples. We have a lot of people who have come out with innovative ideas and still commercially successful. For example, in one of my blogs, I talked about Marico Industries. Marico Industries was a leading oil vendors, coconut oil, way back in 70s. They used to sell coconut oil in tins. And after some time, when they started selling coconut oil, a lot of retail customers used to be there. Retail customers, the retail sellers used to make huge profit. And at one point of time, they said that again, they used to buy in tins, big tins, and then sell it in loose. Then they suggested that this way of selling is loose, selling in loose is not commercially. Why don't you make it as a small packets? Then Marico Industries tried to bring in smaller tin drums, tin pockets, or what is that? Tin cans. And then finally, when the plastics intruded in the market, then they came out with a lot of plastic bottles, so which were easy to stack in the racks and which also looked attractive in the retail market, and the volume of sales picked up. But after some time, the sales, the retail sellers, they stopped taking orders from Marico Industry. The reason was the coconut oil has got a pleasant smell, and the rats used to bite the plastic bottles, and the oil used to ooze out, and it was making a huge mess. And they said no more. We were getting a lot of profits, but still we don't want to mess up, and the rats are also coming and eating our other edible items. So there was a standstill moment for Marico Industries, and they didn't know what to do. Then finally they hired some consultants and finally formed a team. They were doing all this design thinking concepts even when the concept was not there. And then finally they came out with a round shaped bottle which is not having any sharp edges, right? So even in the rats or mouses, no, they cannot grab the bottle. And finally came out with the design and send it to market, but still the retail customers were not willing to sell them. They didn't want to take a risk. Finally, Marico Industries, they tried to put these kind of bottles in a cage and allowed certain mouses for 24 hours or 48 hours. At the end of 48 hours, nothing happened. And then they videographed it, and the video CD was sent to all the retail outlets. And finally, they made a huge profit. Such kind of Desi examples, Pawan Soni has mentioned. This is a wonderful book. So even if you are not a practitioner of design thinking, you will get a lot of ideas for your table topics, and you will get inspired for your prepared speeches. I strongly recommend you to buy this book. and definitely you will be delighted on my recommendation. With that, let me conclude my management book review. Over to Toastmaster of the day, Muki. Thank you so much.
Thank you, distinguished Mr. Sundararaman. Indeed, getting us connected to the process and then connecting to the